Hey, Christian. What is good? Welcome back to Cubs on the Mic. Yeah, we're happy to have you. First time we had you for bouldering, but today we're having you for this March episode.
Yeah, very different topic.
Yeah. So I think we can just like maybe kick it. We can get right in, I think, and just start talking about like what exactly it is for maybe some people who don't know.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I don't run it, but the thing is, I believe it's more about the message rather than like the march itself. That's why I consider that we call it a walkout rather than a march because it's about sending the message to the school about what their statement was. And would you like some like contextualization and like
Yeah, I know that okay, so let's talk about this chronologically. So the school sent out they sent out that not the school, sorry, that Instagram account, they sent out the post and that was like
the Cubs against ice?
yeah, and so they were like, and so they had like 500, 500 likes and stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean there's gonna be 500 people going out.
Yeah.
I mean, how many? I mean, do you really think this is gonna be a big turnout, especially with the school the school kind of opposing it?
It depends, but if you're like me, I feel like you'd be more incentivized to even go on it now that the school has released something against it.
Yeah.
Because it's about the message that we're sending to the school that we're willing to uphold the senses of justice that they teach us and not conforming to like society like they have in that email.
Yeah. I definitely think that you could say that they kind of missed the point, especially I'm more asking you than I'm taking a side myself. But in the email, really, it was like the form they had sent out as well was something like, they were like, oh, do you want like peaceful, do you want to go to the chapel, pray, talk to somebody? And I think that kind of I definitely misses the point of what the the walkout, like you said, the walkout is about, because it's not really about, I think what they interpreted it as, or acted like it was just like, an emotional outburst.
A mental health thing where you need to talk like one-on-one with an adult, which is pretty insensitive to like the opinions of the people on this campus, especially due to our nature as being pretty multiracial, multi-ethnic, and a lot of our parents right now are also immigrants being affected by this administration. So like for them to retract the statement making that they stand with the humanity of these people is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the times you have debates in some of my classes about this stuff. So somebody brought up a good point, and they said that the Catholic Church itself is against ICE.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the Father Prevet statement during the Ash Wednesday Mass, he mostly just quoted both the Pope and the U.S. bishops about saying that immigration isn't a political thing, but we should just stand with the humanity of these people and don't forget that they're human, and not treating them as less than, which is what is being like going on right now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, regardless of what the school necessarily sent out, though, I think there is definitely a point about the fact that they have to consider the safety of the students, and the fact that they're liable for anything, if anything happens, the fact that they can't actually control what goes on outside of the campus, whether it is safe or unsafe, that it is definitely unsafer than being in the campus.
Well, though that's the thing. Well, it's been a policy since probably like the 80s or something where Loyola has been a closed campus. So maybe the safety thing is a valid concern. But by saying that you're disrupting the learning environment and there's more peaceful ways or like civilized ways to come like get a message.
I mean, they didn't say civilized though, did they? Or is that like your interpretation of it though?
Like a more they treat it as like an emotional, as you said earlier, an emotional response rather than a movement against something that people think is unjust. And the interpretation.
You can even pull up the email.
Yeah.
We can just try to pull up the email first and see what that's about. Yeah. I mean, what about the other side of this? Do you have any opinions on like, would you have any maybe conflicting thoughts against the walkout even? What about some nuance to the situation?
I support like the walkout. I'm not saying that like I'm going or like I fully condone it, but I support the cause, like especially since that the entire point of civil disobedience has been to go against authority. And while our authority here has explicitly said that they wouldn't allow it, and they're basically treating it like like an emotional like outburst is an incentive even more to go on it to spread a message.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I mean, let's take the sentence. Each day, the administration of Loyola High School must adhere to the rule that accompaniment means providing a safe campus and learning environment for students. Every day, when we gather for school, from the time Loyola students are dropped off until the last bell rings, Loyola is a closed campus, alluding to that previous point you made as well. Students are never permitted to deviate from their attendance unless a parent or guardian provides permission. So some people have actually interpreted that part as, with them saying that, like, oh, you can go if your parent tells you, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what a lot of schools have done, like public and private schools, like I have a lot of friends outside that participated in walkouts themselves, where the school has approved these walkouts, where they do the process of like waiver signing.
Okay.
Like even the teachers are in this, where they get the parents to sign waivers to letting them know that they're not responsible for what happens to the kids, as well as spending some time like before that explaining to them what proper protest protocol is, like staying peaceful and not like destroying what they come across.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what the school should have done, like in support of this, because they've taken a neutral stance, which is very different from the schools that around us that I know have taken part in this.
Yeah, we have no, I don't know, not no way of knowing, but I think most people don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes and what's fueling these emails. Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy around this right now. Let's keep reading. So, we're committed to personal and school safety at all times, and we don't support or endorse this walkout for educational and safety purposes. Okay, so safety reasons.
Yeah, safety reasons. That's they had to give out, like they had to issue the statement, right, about the walkout, since it's been pretty popular.
Yeah.
Safety, like, yeah, there's rules that have to be upheld, but the classroom like policy act and say like safety, was it, for classroom environment. I really don't feel that was the greatest piece that they could have given, like especially since like what's happened in recent times, like with last year in the 2025 school year with the shooting threats that have occurred. In which we went into lockdown despite there being threats, like even a week before, and on the day that happened, like police got involved and like in classrooms interviewed people, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
we're like not there.
Oh, wait, when was this? I mean, it wasn't like on a Thursday or Friday, right? Not on like my retreat.
I don't remember when, like
Okay.
which specific day, but I remember it happening, and it was like
Maybe
over
I've
2
just
days.
forgotten, yeah.
It was over 2 days. There was a PSAT day where there were like the threats were like up there. They were like, oh, should I really go to school on this day because I'm
Yeah.
scared? And then
No,
the
I
day,
think I remember.
and
Yeah.
then the day after, when we were in normal classes, we went into lockdown because they said that there wasn't a threat necessarily inside the school, but there's reason to suspect that a lockdown might be necessary. So refusing to cancel like on those kind of terms, like does that really mean that they care about classroom safety, or is it about proclaiming neutrality because it satisfies like the people?
I mean, okay, yeah, I see your point. I mean, we can also the thing I was focusing more on too was that they said endorse this walkout for educational and safety reasons. So educationally, I mean, I understand technically, yeah, learning is being disrupted, but it's one Friday, a shorter day.
Yeah.
I mean, the original plan was, they had sent out was leave at recess. So you're missing 3 periods.
2 periods actually.
Oh, 2 periods.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 2 periods. Yeah. I think now it's changed to, I'm not sure what the update is exactly, but maybe people won't be going to school at all. So the school, can't say that they're liable when they enter campus.
Yeah.
But do you feel like I mean, I personally don't think that this is a substantial disruption of education.
Yeah, exactly. Like they could they could just cancel school if it's a popular enough movement, and like yes, well maybe it is a disruption to education, that in the sense that people aren't showing up to classes, but again, it's one of the most poor excuses that they could have made.
Yeah, I think so too. Even if you aren't taking sides on this, I think that the reasons they've given are very poor, like you said. I think regardless of the side you're on here, regardless of your political affiliation, I think I think you can agree though that like the right to protest should be shared across anybody, and the right to like to do this it triumphs. I don't know if that's the right word, but it passes, like missing 2 periods of school.
I did some research last night, and I found out like I think public schools they have the right for like a civil absence. My friend was in part of those. I think Redondo Union High School. So they could take that civic day of absence and go out and walk out and support the protest going on that area. Private schools, like since they aren't part of the unified school district, don't have that. So
They don't have to adhere to that.
It's up to the school to create their own discipline policy. But the thing is here that according to the handbook, I believe if you show up and you skip an entire class period, I believe it's 2 days of jug. So skipping those 2 class periods would result in 4 days of jug. But legally, they're not allowed to change that punishment or make it more severe because you went to a political event.
Oh, I see.
So theoretically speaking, that is the maximum amount of punishment that they're allowed to give.
Okay, yeah. I mean, here, I'll just keep reading. As a Jesuit educational institution that forms students to strive towards the values of the profile of the graduate at graduation, we remain dedicated to helping our students find meaningful, non-disruptive ways to advocate for their beliefs and to live out Catholic social teaching. I'll pause at that sentence if you want to.
Well, again, they're going to mention Jesuit teachings. Father Prevet made it very clear that both the Jesuits, the U.S. bishops, and the Pope himself are against these policies, right? So, but
they're not. I mean, they're not saying that it's like. I'm not sure. They're saying that it's like that we should strive towards the profile of graduate at graduation. So, I mean, I don't know if they're directly opposing this.
Well, let's talk about graduate and graduation.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of values, right? But I feel like the 2 that most stand out to me is developing as a leader, where you're taking initiative.
That's true.
You're taking initiative to put yourself into civil disobedience, where you've discerned the possible consequences of that happening, where you have accepted that maybe the school is against me, but
some things are worth sacrifice.
Yeah, I know that like what I believe is true, and therefore I will advocate for it. And the other one is also intellectually distinguish the ability to form your own decisions and apply them in the real world. And this is one of those cases where you really have to think about what you're about to do and accept the consequences because you truly believe that this is the right course of action. So it deters like the people that just want to leave so they can skip school.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, one thing I do want to bring up though, do you feel like, because the administration with Trump, he hasn't really expressed much acceptance of protest against him and his administration, like with the LA Kings protest or with the Kings protests and his AI videos of him releasing poop over the crowd of people. So do you feel like that, because obviously the political administration is going to permeate society. Do you feel like that's affecting how people are processing the idea of a protest?
Well, as Americans, we have the right to free speech under the First Amendment. And if we don't use these rights and more people cave into the fact that, oh yeah, the government said something, so therefore that law is always right, and we don't question the systems that are placed upon us, then we might lose these rights because the government may argue that like, oh yeah, you guys aren't really using these rights, therefore they're not needed. Maybe we should take over to like, you can sacrifice some personal liberties for the good of society. Yeah. And they are the ones that can define what what the good in society is.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous part of anything. I mean, that's why I think that like, of course, like leftist echo chambers and not rightist, but like, I don't think right-wing or left-wing echo chambers are good in any way, obviously, because regardless of your political beliefs, you should never think that you are 100% correct. There's a lot of danger in that.
Yeah. So about echo chambers, they are really bad in like forming your own opinion, because to be able to form an opinion, you need to know what's on the other side. So like last night, I was talking with a guy that replied to my story because I made a story condemning the school's decision about the walkout, and Ash Wednesday email. So we just had like a really nice conversation about like, oh yeah, so he's conservative and like his views are like maybe like they canceled the walkout again for like school safety, and like maybe people are just skipping class. Well, I gave my opinion that like people should have the right to protest, and like this goes with the school values of like striving for justice. And basically he just said that whatever whatever like beliefs that you have, as long as you're fighting for your beliefs and as long as you strongly believe for your beliefs, no one can take that away from you, no matter what side you're on. So if you believe in this, you should truly participate in it.
Okay, that's your takeaway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just finish reading this email and then we can get to the next one. So, as we move forward, we encourage our young men to utilize our campus resources to express their concerns through action, dialogue, and prayer in ways that are safe and that honor their academic commitments. Okay. I think that's a bit to unpack there too.
Well, again, it's about the message. What message are you sending by compliance?
If you want to like refer.
Yeah, I know. But that form that they sent out in this email too, was it this?
Yeah, we can open that up after this too.
Well, they asked like, what's the best way to like receive support that's not like through a walkout or instruction of, and then it was like one-on-one.
Like it's like, what's a non-violent way? Like this isn't, like
I mean, we're not good.
I don't think there's anything wrong.
There's no violence involved.
I'm just saying that it's like the way they're treating it is they're saying it's an unacceptable like form of thing. I think that's just how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
Like how the school's sending it out, that they're saying, okay, this isn't okay.
I mean, yeah, like obviously
These other options.
I mean, obviously actions have consequences, and that's part of justice. Justice requires sacrifice.
I mean, they do say though, express your concerns through action, and then dialogue and prayer in ways that are safe and that honor their academic commitments. I think though,
but you're not sending a message if you're just like, if you're trying to like put it down on the low as much as possible
and honor their academic commitments. I think in a way you could argue that part of our academic commitments at Loyola is the theology program, which strongly advocates for
especially like theology too. If you're taking that, you know how heavy it is on social justice, immigration, and everything.
I mean, I just wanted to point that out though, that this email does kind of have its issues. Yeah, I think this is probably one of the worst emails they've sent out. And they've sent out some AI generated emails too.
So if you don't mind pulling up the Ash Wednesday one as well.
The Ash Wednesday one?
Yeah.
Do you know who sent that one out?
That was I think it was Dr. Jordan, like earlier this week, which preceded the.
Okay, let me look up
the walkout one.
Dr. Paul Jordan. Okay, so. Yeah.
Sorry.
Here. Wait. Before we get to that, why don't we talk about this one? So, dear Cubs, as an email went to your families today outlining our position on a walkout, while we will not endorse a disruption that puts our students in harm's way or interrupts the educational process, as Ignatian educators, we are called to assist our students in thinking critically as they discern the changing and challenging events of the day. Therefore, we are committed to respecting students' right to peaceful expression, maintaining a safe campus and learning environment for all students, and partnering with students to support student well-being. So this is the email that led to the forum. It, honestly, reading up like to a certain point, it feels like they're basically saying you're allowed to protest, but then
this is the most neutral response they could take, because they're saying something and then backing it up with
not saying nothing. Yeah, it's like they say you have a right to protest. They're basically saying you have a right.
So, they're saying right, and then use your discernment and what like.
Then they send out a form and say, well, okay, but that's also bad. So now do this instead. So what's the best way to support students as an alternative to a walkout? So quiet and peaceful prayer time in the chapel, one-on-one with an adult, brave space conversation, so peer-to-peer small group, and brave space prayer and reflection prayer circle.
Well, my question is, in what way is this actually going to make an impact on the community instead of the message?
They're completely like disregarding what the exact message of the walkout is.
This is just treating it as like a mental like basically like a mental illness in a way that like.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that take.
And they're confining it that within small groups. Again, you're not really being able to send the message out, and that's what this is actually about. And they're completely undermining that the purpose of like walking out is civil disobedience and resistance to authority. Well,
Okay. Here, this is the email. Dear Loyola families, we are writing to you regarding concerns raised about the Ash Wednesday Mass celebrated on campus this week. First and foremost, we want to acknowledge that we have heard from a number of families who are troubled by what they believe occurred during the homily. We take these concerns seriously. The Ash Wednesday liturgy marks the beginning of Lent and is one of the most sacred moments in our Catholic calendar. It is essential that our communal worship reflect both the reverence of the occasion and the mission of our school. Here, we can pause there
Yeah.
and unpack that.
So basically they're saying that like, oh, but maybe this homily had no place like in an Ash Wednesday mass, and like how people have expressed concerns. But the question also here is who expressed concerns, because I feel like if you are expressing concerns for what the Catholic Church thinks is right, and like what the stance of like a lot of like social justice like workers aim toward, and you're disappointed and disturbed by the video that was shown about, was it like the kid that was scared to go to school?
That was probably the most like
because ICE
emotionally
was-
provoking one.
and like what they described as like the inhumane treatment of like the people that ISIS detain. I feel like if you're disturbed by that, you need to do a re-examination of your conscience and like what you like believe in and what you think is right. Because if you're disturbed by the fact that we need to acknowledge people's humanity, then where are we? You know.
Okay.
And this isn't political or any way, because you know if either side like violates the humanity of someone, you need to think for yourself what is right and what's right.
There's been a long-standing timeline of oppression of peoples that I think I think any time that people are oppressed in human history, and this goes beyond anything just like simply political. I mean, any time that there have been suppression in human history, a couple decades later, people demand apologies, people demand reparations. It's always like, when we're constantly evolving it, it seems like I don't know if there's any form of like suppression that's been deemed acceptable by humanity as a whole, like the entire billions of humans on the planet.
I feel like history is really written by the victor, but like right now we look at systems of oppression that were okay back then. Like slavery was an okay institution back then because it was part of like American society, and people were like just accepted the fact that slavery was helpful in their society. But if we look at it right now, we know it's inhumane and disgusting, right? We look back at segregation, which was also overthrown through acts of civil disobedience in the civil rights movement. And like that, we look at that now, segregation, we think that all like races are equal now.
Right. Yeah, we do. That it will, that's what the progressiveness has taken us to.
And now
I'm sure some people, of course,
Yeah.
don't share certain beliefs like that. But here, let's move on to this next passage. So, at this time, we are gathering a full and accurate understanding of the event. It is important that we approach this thoughtfully and based on verified information rather than assumptions or secondhand accounts. It's kind of a weird statement.
that is a pretty
considering
weird
that
statement.
everybody at
because
the school went to the mass.
People were there, and straight up, if you were disturbed by what you heard, that's not a secondary source; that's a primary source. And if someone did summarize it to you with what was said, that's...
I mean, both Dr. Paul Jordan and President Jamal Adams, they were both present at the mass. No.
Yes.
I mean, I don't understand why they need to gather verified information.
Because what a Jesuit priest taught at that homily represents the values that were taught at Loyola in accordance to social justice.
Okay. Well, let's unpack the next little segment. So that said, we are clear on several principles that guide us. The liturgy is a sacred act of worship. Our responsibility as a Catholic Jesuit institution is to form young men in faith, intellect, and character, grounded in church teaching and committed to human dignity without aligning the school with partisan political agendas. Preserving unity within our community while remaining faithful to our Catholic identity is paramount. I mean, interesting little ending there.
First of all, where you can't just also disinclude the men foreign with others when they say they try and form men of these certain things, right?
Yeah, I see.
You can't just selectively include like what is most beneficial to the people that you want to please.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure who exactly is leading this decision that's going out here.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But a lot of people also express like this email even before the walkout email. They were saying that this email was kind of disappointing because they're basically standing against everything that they've taught.
Yeah, that's true. They have. It's like the moment it got a little political. It's like the moment more attention was brought to it, they've completely cowered away from what they've stood for as an institution. I think that's safe to say.
And I think the first or like one of the first things that Father Prevet said, that this homily is far from straight political.
That is, it is beyond what anything, just simply political. So over the yeah, I think let's move on. So over the coming days, we will continue listening to families, faculty, and students. We are also reviewing our internal process for guest speakers.
That is something that I myself found weird when I was reading this email, and when I also discussed it with people, they also found that weird.
So, I mean, are they saying that it's like that they're like, oh, we shouldn't allow Father Prevet on? I mean, that's like
they're saying that like, oh yeah, maybe we should be reviewing what people are saying before, but like again, this is the guy that represents what you guys are teaching here at Loyola.
I don't think anything he said is really far
he's not a guest speaker.
No, he's not a guest speaker at all. I think they're trying to other themselves. It's almost like they're at fault here, and they're trying to say that they're trying to separate themselves from their mistake.
Yeah, it's like damage control when there was no real damage.
They're not even. I mean, obviously they're trying to be like. But no, this is a horrible email.
Yeah.
And it's a guest speakers and student programming. Okay.
Student programming. I think they're probably referring to the Comes Against Ice that came out. Like I think it was like the day that this homily was.
Oh, okay.
Which reinforced the idea that as Catholics we should stand for the humanity of immigrants, and that what Father Prevet said was right, basically.
We are committed to fostering a healthy environment for civil discourse where adjustments are needed. We will make them. Where adjustments are needed, we will make them. We are committed to providing guidance that protects both the sanctity of our worship and the integrity of our educational mission.
And where is justice ever mentioned in this email, even though it's mentioned in a lot of other places in the school?
Mm-hmm. So, I'll just finish off. Thank you for your continued engagement and care for Loyola. Even in moments of disagreement or concern, our shared commitment to the formation of our sons binds us together. We ask for your prayers for our school community during this Lenten season, that we may move forward with wisdom, humility, and unity.
Yeah, it's like they try to address the issue and then they completely leave out the words that should be there, but they're choosing to exclude them on purpose to make sure that no questions arise. But the questions are indeed arising.
Yeah. And so this email was sent out by Drew Planting, Year 90 Chairman of the Board, and Jamal K. Adams, 90 President.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, yeah. Let's just like maybe some takeaways on that. I'll pull up the Instagram thing in the meantime.
The Comes Against Ice?
Yeah, I think so. That's like probably the next stop where we're heading to. Right. But before we get there, are there anything else you want to include about like what we just covered?
Well, I feel like really what literally the takeaway of this is do what you think is right. Like justice requires sacrifice, and to like speak out against things that you think are unjust and do action on the things that you think are unjust, and don't just sit there and allow things to happen, because that's how we lose our rights.
That's true. Okay. I can start just reading the post because this is kind of where it all started after the mass. So, during Ash Wednesday Mass, Father Prevet begged us to listen to the cries of immigrants. We see families separated, protesters executed, and migrants raped and murdered in detention centers, and we are called to action. Jesus says much in Matthew 25:35. For I was a stranger and you invited me in. For us Catholics, our faith forces us to recognize the human dignity of the people ICE treats as animals.
Well, I mean, there's really, if you're being provoked by that, then again, think about it.
I think the people ICE treats as animals, I think it's even beyond that. I mean, if people are like, I'm not sure, let's just take this as fact just for just while we're discussing the post itself. If people are being raped and murdered in detention centers, now, I don't know how, where their evidence is coming from. But if that is the case, that's like many. You're sure there's there
have been cases again like the recent things that happened, like the murder of Renee Good and the shooting of Alex Preddy, just for simply like being there and protesting.
Yeah. So but this is like rape and murder are not just like animalistic things. This is
there's also been
these are some terrible crimes.
There's also been in the detention center that Alligator Alcatraz, but there have been reports of missing people there, and they just don't have records of where those people went. So that's pretty concerning that
Yeah,
federal
it is.
government agency is missing records on people.
And the people are just gone. That's pretty scary. Yeah, so we are calling for a mass walkout across Los Angeles high schools on Friday, February 27th. We will meet at City Hall at 1 p.m., and it is up to local leaders to coordinate at their schools. As an act of nonviolent disobedience at Loyola High School, students will meet at 10:15 in front of the Center for Service and Justice to march on City Hall. We encourage the other schools who have expressed interest, including Salesian, Ramona Convent, Marlboro, FSHA, IMAC, Bishop Connedy, Verbum Day, Cathedral, and all other schools to march, drive, or take public transit to unite with us at City Hall.
Well, also here, I think the problem is there's not a clear leader of who's running the account as far as I'm concerned. So it's really hard to unite a group of people when you don't have a clear figurehead, you know. And when it isn't backed by trusted people.
Like you're saying that people don't even know who's like organizing this.
Yeah, so people aren't confident and to do things
that's
that
a
they
fair
don't
point.
like. They're scared to like express their beliefs. If they know their beliefs, they're gonna get punished for their beliefs.
With the way the school is handling this situation, I think the people organizing this are scared to even come out and admit it.
Yeah, just because they're probably gonna face repercussion for like suggesting an idea.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely a concern some of these people have. I mean, I don't know if they could even be legally held, get in trouble for something like this.
We can't.
I don't think that
Legally,
that's even
I don't think you
a
can.
thing that they could get into trouble for. But I can see the fear of coming out and admitting to something like this, and because admitting, you have to come out if like what you're saying for people to be able to know who's organizing it.
Hey, free speech as long as you're not defaming like this by like false accusations.
I mean, they're not. This is a fact. Yeah.
And also B, like legally, the like staging a walkout or like skipping class and staging a walkout, they're the same offense.
Yeah, it is. And they're not lying about the fact that at that mass that did happen. They're using that as like this happened at mass, and let's do this in response to stuff like that. And so our demand goes not to President Trump, who clearly does not care, but to our own city government. We seek a commitment by the LAPD to uphold justice by enforcing the California mask ban. This ban states that ICE officers who wear masks cannot use qualified immunity, which ensures accountability for violations of basic human dignity by ICE officers. To the administration of Loyola, all we ask is your blessing. You idolize Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and we ask for us asked for us to set the world on fire. Now allow us to be the change we all wish to see in the world. Father Prevet calls Loyola and the Catholic community of Los Angeles to action. This is our response. I think this is a pretty powerful message. I think they wrote this pretty well.
Yeah.
Just from
I feel like the only issue with the entire thing is that there's just no clear leadership. So people aren't sure or guaranteed that the things like the walkout is even guaranteed.
I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but if you're comfortable answering, are you going to go on the march?
I wasn't planning on doing so because I had something right after school. But
okay,
I'm just saying that right now I felt like provoked to make the statement that I did yesterday, just because of what the school had sent in response. Like, if you're gonna stand for something, and don't cave in. Don't cave in because you faced a little backlash and therefore.
I mean, I don't know if it's a little. I mean, I'm sure they're getting a lot of backlash. I mean, I'm gonna open this comment section up soon, but
I think a lot of comments have been deleted though.
It's showing 46 right now though, so let's see. Parents are definitely voicing concerns about this, and regardless, I'm not gonna sit here and argue about anything he's saying. I'm not gonna say it's right or wrong. I'm just gonna say that like this is seen. Like people aren't I can definitely see how like it's visible if it's leaking through to these like Instagram comments here where like Loyola parents are voicing their concerns about this, then I definitely think it's like but then there's also somebody down here and said just Justin's, I don't know, me and my good friends will be in attendance and stuff. Okay, that's just like random stuff, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna find too much. Somebody here by quoting a biblical passage, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and take biblical passages as
evidence.
because that's like obviously so arbitrary.
But like it's really up to your interpretation of what you think is right.
Mhm.
Like if you think that like what's going on is right, well my question to you is why. But then again, if you also then think it's wrong, then also why? Because there's people both like on both sides that are radical, but they refuse to like again see the point of the other side. Why does the other side hold their opinion, and how can you use their opinion to further strengthen your argument, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well, are there any last closing thoughts you have maybe of this of this march? I mean, we can do you feel like it's like a worth it form of protest in this? Do you think it's something that is going to make a change? I mean, I feel like just if there's actually that many schools committed to the march, I definitely don't think this is something that you can just brush off.
Well, 100%, because now the school is basically through these emails proclaimed that we are neutral and our values only apply when people approve of them, and that we can change them to gain the approval of the people that are getting mad at us. So 100%, it is worth going on if you want to send that message out to the school, because say like I feel like 500 kids in like a pool of like thousands of people that are probably going to be in attendance at the protest isn't that much. But again, it's about sending the message and representing the values that we're taught to you.
But those thousands are made up with the 500 here and there. I mean, the same.
Yeah, but like if you just look at it like this amount is like inconsequential to like the amount of people there.
Yeah.
But it's about sending the message to the school, which is the biggest part. That we are living the values that you taught us, and this is what we think is right, as you guys have formed us as young men, and it's also sending a message to the administration then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly disappointed with Loyola's response to this. Regardless, I think that if you were going to refute these statements, then you should have never if you were always conservative, then you should stay true to your conservative beliefs.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be all progressive and you're going to start talking about human liberties, you shouldn't be and just because there's some political aspect intertwined with these civil liberties doesn't mean you should just all of a sudden be like, oh, God forbid we
It
start
doesn't mean you try and favor like the group of people say that like are giving you the most money or something like that. Just
yeah, there's a lot to think about here.
Like you stand with something, stand by it. Like even if you get the backlash.
Yeah, I think that's an important message for anybody, whether you're whatever your beliefs are, stand by them. It's everybody needs to, and don't be closed-minded either. That's an important thing.
Of course, you can find out that you're wrong, but then you could also find out that your beliefs are like they're not complete. And by like
there's always nuance in the world, and I think both
acknowledging
sides always hold a level of nuance.
Yeah, by acknowledging the other side.
Yeah.
By then you can perfect like what you actually believe, and therefore be able to put your point across even better.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. Thank you, Christian.
Yep.